Happy Wednesday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabbar here with Jared Smith. Jared, sorry we're starting a few minutes late today. That's on me. Apparently, I didn't see our cues to start the show, but now we're here. We're ready to get into it. How are you doing today? Wednesday,
Oh,
halfway through the week.
yeah, I had a day off yesterday. Um,
Do you feel
actually,
refreshed, rejuvenated, revived?
no, because I did work all day. It,
Okay.
it was it was it was 5 degrees in New Jersey yesterday. I didn't
Ew.
leave my apartment. It was like the cold was like it was like Antarctica yesterday.
Ew.
I went downstairs to pick up my lunch order, and somebody opened the door from the in the lobby of my apartment building, and like the wind like rushed in. I felt like I was in like the Snowpiercer show. Like it was really it was the coldest day that I can recall
Yeah.
living in this city, and I'm sure there's been colder, but the wind chill was like really bad. That being said, when we talk about the NFL this week, there's going to be a game like that in the NFL this weekend where it is going to be negative wind chills and freezing cold. I'm sure you could figure out just based off that
Ain't
what
nobody
game I'm
got
talking
time
about.
for that. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta
but we'll
say.
talk about that later this week. But I'm warm now upstairs in my little cave, my little man cave. So everything's good.
Nick, good. The biggest question, what did you have for lunch yesterday that was getting delivered to you?
Oh, poke bowls. I usually,
Ooh,
this
yum.
place across the street. I do usually poke and acai from there, and it's tremendous.
I mean, you are just a epitome of health. I love it.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah,
Poking
yeah. Total health.
nachos.
Not the entire pizza I ate on Monday night for the national
No
championship
one's
game.
talking about that.
Yeah,
And that
no
was
one's
also a
talking about.
national championship game. So it's totally fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Slate of topics for today. We got college basketball, quite a few games on tonight that we want to highlight. Jared is having a dumpster dive game, but for college basketball now. So we're going to talk about that too. NBA morning radar. Nets playing Bulls tonight. We'll get to that. A couple other games that we're taking a look at as well. Then we have Teddy Greenstein coming on from PointsBet. He joins us. NFL playoffs, the wild card weekend is happening. We are highlighting some of our picks that we're leaning towards that we've already bet. And then the Sony Open out in Hawaii on the West Coast again, Jared. We're taking it to the West Coast. Talk about a little bit
Wait,
of
is it
golf.
the West Coast? Wait. Hold on.
No,
You got
I'm
you
just,
you got
I was
really
just
mad at me
saying
that one
that to
time when
make
I said
fun of
West Coast.
you. Just saying it to make fun of you.
Oh, you were just testing me? Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
just
good.
testing the
Carry on.
waters. And then we can't end without our 3-star play of the day and our best bets of the day. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Let's bet it. College basketball. A lot of big games tonight, headlined by Villanova taking on Xavier. Jared doesn't like my pick for this one, so I'll let you go through it, and then I'll tell you why I picked no money line in this one.
Fair enough. So these two teams played a couple weeks ago, right before the Christmas time break,
Yep.
more like 3
December
weeks ago.
21st to be exact.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mhm.
And it was a game that I think if it was played again, I think Xavier probably plays a little tighter. They didn't shoot. Neither team really shot it well from three. Connor Gillespie, who's kind of the guy that makes the Nova offense go, they kind of held him in check a little bit. He only had 4 assists. He only had 15 points, and I think Xavier had the right game plan to beat Nova in that spot. They just didn't quite execute it in the shot making category. I think that if they can make some more shots at home, their 3-point game is a little bit stronger at home. I think they can win this game, and I think the market is telling me that they can win this game because Xavier opened as a 1-point underdog, and we've seen the line flip overnight. Xavier is now the favorite, laying 1. I'm seeing 1.5 in some shops as well. It's real. You're not going to make a lot of money in college basketball fading Villanova in Big East games. That much I will say. That is not a trend that I would, consistently back. But if you pick your spots, and this is a spot where, again, the market's kind of telling you Nova might be a little bit, susceptible to I don't even call it an upset because, again, Xavier's favored and the rankings are pretty
This game is
similar.
a pick 'em, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the fact that Nova, has the pedigree and Xavier doesn't quite have it. I mean, they have a pedigree too, but I think Nova in the Big East is certainly like the Fortune 500 company. I would definitely lean to Xavier at home here just because of that market flip overnight. There's clearly some smart people that like the Musketeers tonight.
Well, I'm not leaning. I'm all in, baby. Push my chips into the Nova money line. This was more of a lean for me yesterday. I feel a lot better about it this morning, even though the line has flipped. I just look at Nova. They have experience. And one of the biggest things for me in watching so much basketball over the last few years is mistakes. Mistakes cost you a game. Villanova, really good at limiting turnovers. Xavier, not so much. They're a turnover-prone team. I just think mistakes are going to be the difference in a game like this. And then also you look at Villanova. They have that experience. They're not going to be rattled in a road atmosphere. They're two talented teams, though, on both ends. And it really is a pick 'em in this game. But I think one of the biggest things for me is turnovers, limiting turnovers. Xavier, turnover prone. Villanova, really good job of limiting turnovers this season. I think that that's going to be the difference in a game like tonight. So that was my biggest point in this one. Also, Nova's ranked 7th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. I really like that. Nova covered the spread in 14 of their last 17 against Xavier as well. I like that point. So I'm sticking with Nova money line in this one. I think mistakes are going to be the biggest difference in this game. And I think Xavier is going to turn it over more than Nova, and that's going to cost them the game tonight. So boom, that's my pick.
Listen, Nova's one of the, thank you very much, Colin Gillespie. Apologies. Everyone's jumping down my throat in the chat about saying Colin and Connor wrong. Like, please, it happens, people. Nova.
People call me Laura all the time. I'm like,
yeah, I apologize. Thank you very much for being very attentive in the chat this morning. Colin, love Colin Gillespie. He's the best player on Nova, right? So I think when you look at Nova's overall stats, they're one of the few teams in the country that are top 20 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. Mm-hmm. That is something I look for very strongly when we get to March. Those are teams that are balanced. And
that comes with experience, though. That comes with experience.
100%.
Having experienced players who've been there before, been there, done that, and it's just like another walk in the park.
I think Jay Wright's one of the best coaches in the country too. And Colin Gillespie, I think, is one of the best players in the Colin Gillespie, along with Justin Moore, is one of the best players in the country. I think Justin probably has a little more upside when it comes to NBA talent. Colin's more of the college guard kind of persona. But they're both very talented backcourt. Tough to beat. But they're on the road tonight, and the market likes Xavier. So I think, to me, it's either Xavier or pass.
I'm saying market, baby. Nova money line. Mic drop. Let's see it happen.
We'll see.
Honestly, college basketball, I have been struggling. So this is the day that I'm going to turn it around in college basketball, because hockey and football have been killing it. Basketball, college basketball, I'm now shifting over, and this is going to be the start of something new. Okay. Let's dumpster dive, because you do a lot of dumpster dive games with college football. You haven't done many with college basketball. No. Dixie State versus Cal Baptist. Cal Baptist trying to build on a 5-game. I was trying to look up points about this game last year. I saw it on a rundown. I'm like,
don't even bother.
It's in Utah, right?
Dixie State in St. George, Utah. Obviously, Cal Baptist is in California, Riverside, to be precise. This is a Western Athletic Conference showdown between two of the worst teams in the country. Yeah. So Dixie State, we talked about defensive efficiency and how good Nova is. Xavier up there as well. Dixie State's not. Neither is Cal Baptist. They're both bottom feeders in defense. Actually, Dixie State's really bad. 324 out of 358. Cal Baptist a little bit better, 258th. Out of 358 teams. Both teams like to run. Dixie State likes to run more than Cal Baptist does. They're actually a top 10 team, Dixie State, in pace, average possession length. And I think that is going to be the overall vibes of this game tonight. You are going to see running. You are going to see quick shots. You are not going to see a lot of defense being played. And when you look at the total, I got 150.5. Like, that's a pretty average total for a game of this pace with two bad defenses. Now, obviously, if these teams don't make shots, this total will go and die a slow death. But I'm banking on them making shots. That's pretty much what we're betting on tonight, is that Dixie State and Cal Baptist play to their averages with their shooting percentages. If they do that, there should be enough possessions in this game where this goes over the total. And if the game stays close, it's not supposed to. It's a 9-point spread. But if it does stay close, then we get some foul situations late. There is a player to watch tonight, and I was talking to our buddy Jim Root about him last night. So Cal Baptist has an NBA caliber point guard. He's a freshman. He's been kind of limited with his minutes because of this mysterious injury that nobody reports about. if he plays, he has been playing, but if he plays more than he has been, this is definitely going to go over because Cal Baptist is going to put up more points than they're probably expected to. And I think that's probably why the total's a little bit lower than normal for these teams, because we just don't know about this, this freshman point guard for Cal Baptist. So that's what you look for tonight, but still it's a fun game. And I think it's going to be a lot of points, and it's a late night game, overs. Why not throw it in there?
Why not? Toss it in. I love the dumpster night games. Cal Baptist trying to build on a 5-game winning streak. We'll see if they're able to accomplish that tonight. I know. See, I did some deep diving for some notes too, Jared. Okay. We're both deep diving. I love it. Let's take it from boys to men. NBA morning radar. 9 games on the slate tonight, highlighted by the Nets taking on the Bulls in Chicago. The Bulls 1.5-point favorites in this game, but the Nets really haven't beaten a single elite team all season. They're 0-8 against top 4 seeds in the East and the West this season. James Harden, I don't know officially if he's playing. I was trying to look this morning. He has a left knee hyperextension. And same with Kyrie Irving. He has a left ankle sprain. So they might be without 2 of their 3 big men in a game like this. We'll see. I'm not sure exactly. But fun fact, the Nets are actually the worst team against the spread this season. They're 14-24-1 against the spread. And they have not covered in any game that Kyrie has played. What are you expecting from this game? Because it is 2 of the top teams in the East going head-to-head.
Yeah, I mean, and the Bulls beat them earlier in the year, right?
Yeah.
Like that, I think that is noteworthy.
Twice.
The Bulls, they beat them twice. Wow. So this is going for the sweep tonight. So the Bulls have played well against the Nets. Didn't the Bulls play last night and just like go crazy on the Pistons? That's another thing to look for too. Second game of a back-to-back. No, they didn't. That game was a couple nights ago. Apologies.
I don't think they were on back-to-back.
No, they were not. That game was on Sunday. It's actually that they played the Mavericks on Sunday and they lost. So the Bulls are coming off a game where they scored under 100 points. I would definitely look to bounce back with Chicago tonight. I really honestly, I haven't paid a ton of attention to the NBA this year, but the attention that I have paid has been very positive for the Chicago team. Markets moving a little bit in their favor. Open 1.5. I'm seeing 2 now. This is.
The total is also moved 5 points from 2.
Yeah, that's the biggie. I would say.
Is that kind of like a note that maybe Kyrie?
That's Kyrie playing in the game.
James Harden is going to be playing tonight.
Yeah, I would say him and Kyrie. I think that's probably why that total's moved up. Thank you very much for that note, Justin. I would say the over would be the steamy. You want to talk about the morning steam. Certainly a 5-point move to the over is definitely that. The Bulls also are a really good shooting team. I think they lead the league in 3-point shooting this year. So that if they can do that, and if Kyrie and James Harden are on the same page and they both play tonight, I don't see why this game can't get into the 230s.
I know the Nets were up last game after 3 quarters, and they blew it. They were outscored 42-17 in the 4th quarter in the last time they played. But the Nets are in the middle of a really hard stretch right now. 4 games in 5 days. They're in the middle of it. Ooh. And that 4-game stretch spans 4,900 miles. That's pretty insane. So they're in the middle of a really tough stretch right now. The Bulls won the last game. Levid led the Bulls with 31 points. It's going to be a really, really exciting match. I'm excited to see it. The Nets, I think they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. They're going to want to bounce back after their last tough loss, after giving up that lead to the Bulls, and the Bulls taking that one. That's wild, only scoring 17 points in the 4th quarter and giving up 42. Like the ultimate meltdown. All right. We have a pretty exciting weekend because we got NFL wildcard weekend. I can't even wait for it. So let's bring in senior editor Teddy Greenstein. He's going to join us from PointsBet. We're talking NFL. We're talking Sony Open. I cannot even wait for this weekend. If it's any indication, last week, week 18, of how exciting this wildcard weekend is going to be, give me more of it. Give me all of the excitement, Teddy. How are you doing today?
Lauren, I'm doing great because I took your advice yesterday and bet the Penguins. Can't name a player on the team, but thank you. You are sizzling with the hockey picks, and it was great during bowl season. I'm glad Georgia came around for us. I'm actually going to the Bulls game tonight, so you guys are getting me interested. I was going to already put some on the Bulls because I'm definitely not a disciplined enough bettor not to bet on the team I'm rooting for when I'm at the game. But now you're making me feel like I got to double my stake, maybe points bet the Bulls side and see if I get points.
Those points bets can be dangerous. I've gotten involved with them before.
I love it. I know that's going to be really exciting.
Real quick, Yeah. My brilliant points bet wager from this year was Arizona at Detroit. That was a really good one. I had Arizona minus 12.5 at the Lions.
Oh my
that
gosh.
was awesome. Yeah.
I know. Teddy, honestly, I'm going to tell you, because I'm obviously a Lions fan. I'm from Detroit. I just blindly bet the Lions money line every single weekend. Like, I'm like, what the heck? That was such a big hit for me that weekend. I was like loving it. And then this past weekend against the Packers, I'm like, oh my God, I'm loving life right now. Because I just want to see my team win, right? Even though they suck. I love Dan Campbell. He's a great coach. He hasn't playing well. I'm like, that was an awesome week.
It was either Jared or somebody on Twitter who had the stat that if you just blindly bet every underdog money line in the NFL all year, you are.
That's all you have to do. You don't need us, right? Just bet the underdog money lines.
What the heck? Seriously, though, I know.
Don't do that. Do not do that, because you'll get frustrated and you'll
not encouraging that.
Yeah, and then you'll miss a few, and then once you miss one or two, that's it. The whole system's done. You have to do it religiously.
That's the ultimate trust the process. You'll go in thinking like there's no way this is going to happen, and then hey, the Jaguars might beat the Colts.
You're gonna have some really bad weeks, and usually when that happens, like there's weeks where like the favorites went like 10-2 straight up or something, and then you're like, why am I doing this? I'm an idiot. And then you stop, and then the next week is the week, and then you skew the whole system. You have to literally be a robot if you do that, and we're not. Clearly, we're human. We're not robots.
I know. Last week with watching the Jags against the Colts, I bet the Jags. I bet the Jags in the points. Yeah. But I'm so mad I didn't sprinkle the money line in that game, because like, why the heck not? Like, even if it doesn't hit at that point, it's like, hey.
And you always sprinkle the money line. I was so disappointed. That's what I texted you. I was like, I can't believe you did that.
So mad that was like the one time I didn't. I was so mad at myself.
Lauren, what were you thinking?
Well, speaking of football, Week 18 last weekend was so exciting. That Sunday Night Football game, incredible to end it out. I almost wish it would have ended in a tie. But you know what? The Steelers get into the postseason. It's going to be exciting watching Big Ben have one last final run. Yeah. When you look at this wild card weekend, what game is PointsBet seeing the most handle on so far?
Oh, I mean, the biggest one is certainly going to be San Francisco, Dallas. Yeah. To me, it's the toughest one to handicap, because I think Dallas is going to win by 3. So I'm kind of hanging out, waiting to see if it goes to 2.5 or 3.5. But this is the marquee game. This is fascinating. I mean, San Francisco last week was dead and buried. I mean, at one point that live line was 17.5. So to come back the way they did, I think now, they're a darling of the sharps because they run the ball. They've got good defense. But I mean, when Dallas puts it together, obviously the Cowboys are amazing. And to me, if I'm going to throw my money down anywhere on an outright to win the Super Bowl, it's the Cowboys.
Wow.
12-1. But it's one of those, like, could easily lose in the first game, could get knocked out, could go all the way.
12-1, I like it.
I think it's a fascinating matchup, because I think you do have two teams that I don't want to say are going in different directions, but the Niners over the last half of the year have been arguably the best team in the league. Some of the analytics and some of the net yards per play, the way they run the ball, their defense is starting to play better. And obviously the return to George Kittle, I think, really changed the way Jimmy Garoppolo feels. Now his thumb has to be healthy. It looked healthy on Sunday, at least in the second half. That was like a coming of age drive for him down the stretch. So I think Dallas, that game against Washington, I think is a bit of a, you can't really look at that as like that's how well they're playing. Their numbers have been kind of up and down. And I did see a 3.5 yesterday pop up in the market very quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
And I actually jumped on the other side with the Niners. I think 3.5 is, I don't think you're going to get a number better than that. So it's going to be, I think that will be the game of the week. I'm glad that'll be the high handle game for sure.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lauren.
No. That's what I was saying. When you're looking at the games this weekend, like which team is your biggest liability, I guess, to win the Super Bowl at a point like this?
The numbers on that are still a little light since it's only midweek. I have noticed this. We have taken 2 ginormous bets on the Eagles. So we've taken 2 bets in excess of $20,000 on the Eagles to cover that line. So certainly some boldness. We are big in New Jersey, so we probably have a lot of Eagles fans there. And that's an interesting one. Like a few days ago, if you had asked me what that line was going to be, a look ahead for Eagles Bucks, I would have said probably 6.5 or 7. Wow. And then, but look, the Eagles defense got shredded, even though it was mainly the backups. And then the Bucks are getting healthy. Leonard Fournette, Shaq Barrett. and JPP. And I think the bettors just assume that Tom Brady's going to be immaculate in the postseason. So for now, we have a lot on the Eagles, but we'll see as we get closer.
Who was the guy the other day that won that 5-game parlay for like 1.2 million? But he was sitting, he bet like 4 of the games for January 2nd.
Yep.
And then the national championship game. So you're sitting on that ticket. You're deciding if you want to cash out at like 600,000 plus, or if you want to keep it rolling. Kept it rolling. Georgia wins. That's a wild, wild situation.
So this is PointsBet's new favorite client, Marco Piemonte. Now, he has a big name in the Chicago area because his family owns 5 car dealerships. So anybody who grew up in Chicago knows this name from, watching TV commercials at 11:30 at night. So he's a huge bettor, and one of the parlays he placed with us was $30,000.
Wow.
He hit a couple NFL moneyline underdogs, and then he had it all riding on the Georgia money line heading into
good pick.
The game. Pretty good pick. So he had a cash out offer of like 620 grand, and he's like, I'm going to let it ride. My wife will never, let me return to bed if I cash out. I can't be that way.
600 grand. She'll take that money and go to the mall. What?
This is how this guy rolls. Exactly. He's a bold guy. So we set him up. We had a suite at Lucas Oil for PointsBet. We had a bunch of his friends there. We had Chris Bukowski, who
Chris.
Lauren knows well from his bachelor days. He had some bachelor friends in there. I guess they were trying to watch The Bachelor during the game.
Everyone from The Bachelor lives in Denver, so that's the only reason why I knew everyone.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get you on that show. You'd be perfect.
Yeah, she would be good on that show, actually.
No.
I'm giving that minus 140 that Lauren ever appears on The Bachelor.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
So anyway,
Lauren would be the actual the assassin in that room. She would plow through.
I feel like the person sitting in the corner drinking champagne.
I would want to see a new side of you. I would want to see the savage.
I would love to see that.
Lauren. I don't think it exists, but it would certainly be high entertainment.
So funny. Seriously, so funny. Okay.
So anyway, just to finish. So he goes on, and obviously George is down. And I can't believe that the Stetson Bennett fumble, and then it looks like Alabama's in control. But he hangs in there. The buyout becomes 800,000, $1 million, and gets that pick 6.
Yeah, once you get past the fumble, you're all in. Like, you're not cashing out. That's the one thing I tell people about cashing out. If you're going to do it before the game starts. Once the game starts, your emotions take hold of you, and you're not making logical decisions because you see one play and it goes, it skews the line significantly, and you get all freaked out. So I always tell people, if you are going to cash out a big bet, I get these all the time. Like, what should I do? Last leg of a parlay. Do it before the game. Once the game starts, you're in.
And obviously, you guys know this. It's much smarter to hedge versus cashing out.
Totally agree.
Marco
you pay the big twice.
Yeah, he could have put 400 grand on the Alabama money line to pay back 500 grand, and then he's locked in a $500,000 profit. But he felt good about the dogs.
That's crazy. I know. Go Dogs. Woo! You love to see it. Back to the NFL for a second, because one of the only lines that we've seen really movement in is the Raiders-Bengals line, right? Cincinnati laying 6 to laying 5.5. Do you think that line is going to continue to move towards the Raiders until the game's played?
When it opened at 6.5, actually, I thought, whoa, that's way too high. But then, sort of some logic prevails, and you think about the Raiders being kind of exhausted Sunday night and heading into an early Saturday game, and obviously, a travel situation there. The fact that the Bengals demolished Vegas by 19 points not that long ago, and you've got this healthy, holy trinity of, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon. So, and Cincinnati's got a great run defense. So I think that actually is logical. But we are seeing, 62% of our handle is on the Bengals. So, I
reverse line movement there.
Yeah, a little bit. It's early.
Not significant yet, though. I'll be honest. I really like Cincinnati in that spot. I think the defensive lineman Phylon that got hurt for the Raiders on Sunday night's a big loss. Having to slow down what is a really good Bengals offense, and he was their, besides Max Crosby, he was their best pass rush defensive lineman. So now you can double team Crosby and create a little more space for Burrow to kind of maneuver in the pocket. And I think if that line does continue to move towards Vegas, I'll be jumping on the Bengals hard.
100%. To me, it's one of those just like the emotions of the game. I mean, the Raiders, I think, have to be spent, and the Bengals.
100%. It's been a crazy month for them. Crazy season, the back half.
Yeah. So I like the Bengals a lot there, too.
Yeah, I agree.
Before we get into golf, you look at this weekend. What leans do you have, or what bets have you already made for the wild card games?
Yeah, so definitely going to go with the Bengals. Even though I'm a Jets fan, if I end up betting,
Teddy,
so, honestly,
we're both Jets fans.
Between you two being a Jets fan and me being a Lions fan, we just suck. We all suck. Like,
that is a sweet one, buddy. I like that logo. That one's really cool. Yeah, it's an affliction. I mean, I'm old enough that I grew up at the New York Stock Exchange, so
I just missed that. I just missed it.
Absolutely. And Al Toon's my favorite player.
Oh yeah,
Al Toon jersey he signed.
Love it.
But anyway, I mean, I think for this one, New England Buffalo to me is like Georgia Alabama. Mm-hmm. Georgia was the more talented team. Buffalo is the more talented team.
Yeah.
Do you want to bet against the GOAT in an underdog spot? And I don't. I was comfortable betting against Saban. Think I got lucky with the Jameson Williams injury. But in this case, I'm going to go to New England. And then Philly Bucks, I'll either stay off or throw some down on the Bucks. A lot of momentum, and I like the fact that they're getting healthy again. I think Pittsburgh. I mean, isn't Kansas City overrated? What do you think?
Oh, man, here we go.
This is my biggest lean of the week is taking the points with the Steelers, plus 12.5. It's a lot.
Sell me on it, because I'll be honest, everything I look at says Pittsburgh's the worst team in the playoffs. Like, really, historically bad.
Yeah. You look at the Steelers, they won 3 of the last 4 games to make the playoffs. Yeah. They got those wins because of defense. They held opponents to 14 points or less in 3 of those 4 games. And Pittsburgh leads the league in sacks, 55. TJ Watt, beast. Tied Michael Strahan's single-season sack record. Say that 5 times fast. Single-season sack record with 22.5 in their win over Baltimore. Steelers forced 22 takeaways this season. Chiefs won 9 of 10, but Kansas City only 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games in January. Yeah. I think that they're going to win the game, but I think that the Steelers are going to be able to stay within the double-digit spread.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are gritty. I think it's a low-scoring game. Yeah. You've got Najee Harris. What might work in their factor is that they got blitzed by the Chiefs 3 weeks ago, so hopefully they learn from that game. I love Mike Tomlin. I think the Chiefs might be kind of like the Chiefs of middle of last season when they were just totally overrated. They were favored by 12.5 in almost every game and were winning by, 4, 6, 8, 9 points. I think the Steelers are tough. I think this is, this is more like a 24-17 game.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way the Steelers are winning this. That much I'll say.
The Steelers aren't winning, but I like them. I like 12.5. I like getting them at 12.
I'll say this. I'll give you the positives on why Pittsburgh might not be the worst bet. 3 weeks ago, this line was 10. So you're getting a little bit, nothing's changed in 3 weeks, statistically or really with personnel. So you're getting a little bit of value, I think, there from 10 now to almost 13.
Jared, did the performance against Denver concern you? I mean, they were lucky to win that game against.
I think the playoffs are different. I think the playoffs are different. I think when you get to the postseason, I think this Kansas City team understands how to win in the playoffs more than this Pittsburgh team really is. Like, they're other than Big Ben, they're pretty young and inexperienced.
Maybe, but all I know is the Chiefs were heavily incentivized to beat the Broncos and barely did. They needed
it's true.
85-yard run back fumble late to
it's a divisional game, second time around between those two teams. I'm a little worried about the Steelers protecting Big Ben. I think the Chiefs' defensive line is really good, and the Steelers are not grading out well in pass pro. Where on the other side, the Chiefs have the second best pass pro grade this year along their offensive line. So if anybody should be able to figure out how to block TJ Watt and that very good Steelers defensive line, I think that the Chiefs have a chance to do so. And man, when I look at the numbers of Pittsburgh down the stretch, the net yards per play number, like, they are, analytically speaking, the worst team in the playoffs by a wide margin. So it's tough to bet on a team that's that poor analytic. But the number's big. I'll give you that. It's a big number. There's only been 8 games since 2000 with a spread this high in the playoffs.
I will say, last week when I said I'm taking the points with the Jags, you go,
I didn't do that. I did not do that.
I will look up the video after the show.
I did not do that.
Like, it's like one of the biggest surprises of the week. And guess what? It hit, and they won straight up. I should have sprinkled them.
Every single time I fade her, Teddy, or I doubt her, I lose.
I'm
So
throwing it all on the Steelers, buddy.
Yeah,
Lauren
clearly
and
the Steelers are going to
We're
win.
more about what we see. I think you're more about the numbers.
Oh man. Well,
You're
on that
right.
note,
It's a
now
gift
that
and a curse.
we're ending on that note, Jared's saying every time he fades me, he loses. Let's
Yeah,
go to
just stop
Sony
the
Open.
show,
Let's
right?
end right there. We're going to golf because Teddy, you are a golf expert. Back to the West Coast, as Jared would say. Also, quick note: Jared goes like the first tournament of the year. Jared goes, yeah, let's take it to the West Coast, Hawaii. I go, Hawaii is not the West Coast, right?
The extreme West Coast.
The extreme, just like take it to the West Coast and then go 3 more hours.
Might be the West Coast of Maui. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The West Coast of Maui.
Take it to Wailea Country Club. Did I say that right? Wailea Country Club?
I always say it wrong. I think you say it right.
It's
I always
Wailea.
Wailea.
Yes.
I
think
know.
it's Wailea.
Yeah. This is going to be an exciting weekend. Teddy, which golfer do you think is going to be the breakout star this weekend?
So a couple things to keep in mind. Totally different golf course from last week.
Yeah.
Last week had elevation of 510 feet. This week it's 10 feet. Last week was a par 73 wide open. This is a par 70 tight, small greens. That said, you want to look for guys who played last week.
Yes.
70% of Sony Open winners did play at Kapalua. So there's probably something about just like getting your body acclimated.
For the last 5 too. And the only one who didn't was Cam Smith, who won last week. So, I mean, he's a special kid, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Also, typically this tournament is a wild card week, appropriately, since we're there with the NFL. Average pre-tournament odds of the last 5 winners, 53 to 1. So don't be afraid to, find some of those plus, those 80 to 1s, those 100 to 1s, sprinkle $20 here and there, take a shot. Now, what you're looking for here is you're looking for good Bermuda grass putters. And among those are Billy Horschel, Webb Simpson, Mark Leishman. So I like Webb Simpson. He's plus 1,400 to win. You don't only want to bet the dogs. You probably also want to have some of the bigger name players. Looking at Mark Leishman on a top 10 at plus 210.
Love that.
Looking at Brendan Steele at a top 20 at plus 290. And don't discount Billy Horschel. Have him on your ticket somewhere.
Yeah, no, you go, Jared.
I was going to say the other guy that I really liked was Matt Jones, who putts it really well on that surface. I saw a really good matchup with him over Ryan Palmer, who didn't play last week.
Interesting.
So I like that. I'll be honest. The part about Webb that kind of scared me was that he didn't play last week. You're right. Yeah. He's tremendous on Bermuda grass. But I saw another matchup with Cam Smith, who is, again, I mean, I think he's maybe the best player on tour right now in terms of how he played last week and how he's looked in prior years. The Masters was an unbelievable tournament for him. I think he's gonna win a major this year, maybe next year.
I was gonna ask you, Teddy, for a guy like Cam Smith, like, is there any value on taking him to win the Masters right now?
Yeah.
I think it's 22 to 1 odds.
Yeah, I got to look and see what it was before and now. Obviously don't want to get him at the worst number, but no, that guy's awesome. He's got everything for it. And like the only shortcoming in his game is he can be a little wild off the tee and Augusta's generous off the tee. So as long as if you've got a great short game, if you can score within 150 yards, which he can, absolutely. And there's a pretty good history of Australians doing really well at the Masters. Adam Scott not too long ago. So absolutely, I like that one.
I'll give you one more based off of results from last week. Taylor Gooch is a guy that's popped for me.
Yes.
And I have him in a matchup over Abraham Answer, who was second worst in the field last week in strokes gained tee to green. I thought that was again, and when we talk about golf betting and the strategy involved, Teddy, the matchups really, I think, is where I'm going to be very heavily invested this year. And I think, you can get a big score, and I'll pick some outrights, and I'll pick some, finishes along the way. But I think, every tournament, I think it would behoove you, if you really want to get into the golf betting world, pick 1 or 2 matchups and try to peg golfers that you think are plus against golfers and finding the ones that are minus on that course, like guys that don't putt it well in Bermuda, guys that didn't play last week, pair them up with guys who did play last week and who putt it well at Bermuda and who are good with their approach game, because that's what this course kind of dictates. So I think the matchups, getting in the mindset of picking matchups, can help you kind of navigate the way you think the tournament will play out. and kind of game script it. And I think that can help you long-term with picking an outright winner, which is very difficult to do every week.
Exactly. I mean, I think of golf betting, it's kind of like a roulette board, and I don't play roulette because the odds are terrible, but you sprinkle some here, some there. You got some outright, some top tens. Don't put, crazy amounts unless you're Marco, and then hope that, you hit 4 out of 6 things, and 3 or 4 times a year you hit an outright winner.
What do you think about a guy like Maverick McNeely to finish in the top 20 right now? He had
That's
9
Lauren's
top
guy
25.
this week.
I know. He had 9 top 25 finishes in his last 14 starts. I was looking, and he ranked 7th in total strokes gained across his past 48 rounds. Just what do you see from a guy like this, and is there any value if I bet him to finish top 20?
I know Jason Sobel mentioned Maverick McNeely, and he's a guy, exactly. I mean, he's a guy who's got the kind of number that you'd think of as a Sony Open. I don't know. What is his outright? Is he
probably in the 50 to 60 range, I would guess.
So that's the kind of profile of a player we're looking for right now. Totally obscure.
I looked at his last 14 starts. He's only missed the cut once, which is really good.
He didn't play last week. That's the one thing that I would say. He's 46 to 1. So right around 50 to 1. Yeah. But he again, that's a guy who didn't, right? He didn't play last week. I don't think so. He wasn't in the Century. So I think that's tough because you do that trend really stood out to me, Teddy. And the reason why it stood out to me even more so, these courses don't match up at all, Kapalua and Waialae. So it doesn't make sense logically why a player that played in the Century has won more often than not at Waialae the following week, unless you take the travel and just being in Hawaii and not playing over the whole course of the winter.
Being on the West Coast.
On the West Coast. Like, a kid like Maverick McNeely, is this the first time he's ever been to Hawaii?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact you're just like the general joy of being in a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And look, the Kapalua
takes your focus away just a little bit.
Kapalua, of course, is really easy for those guys. So they all come in with a lot at confidence. I mean,
great point.
Even the guys who finish in the bottom third have shot, 12 under par or something. So everybody goes in with good vibes if they play Kapalua.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so looking at just the entire year now, who do you see as, I guess, a long shot for the entire year to be a breakout star, reach the elite level? Like, do you see any guys that are kind of buried?
He had a good one last year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we got to revisit this next week. I'm thinking I got to put a little thought into that, Lauren, and then I'm going to come back with.
Last year, you were all on Matthew Fitzpatrick, I remember.
Matty Fitz is exactly.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy that, because you can consistently find good value in those markets.
Yeah.
If you can find a guy that is consistently undervalued, like he was.
He's a guy who had a cup of coffee at Northwestern. I covered one of his college events. He's basically Luke Donald 2.0, incredible short game. So, right, Jared, early in the year last year, you could get him, top 5 and top 10, really good money.
Yeah.
And he did come through a bunch of times.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, Teddy, before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit about your points bet boost of the week. All 12 teams in the wild card game to make 1+ field goal during wild card weekend, boosted from +625 to +700. Why is that your best boost of the week? I like it.
Yeah, so Lauren, we do a newsletter. It's called The Hustle. So I'm the editor of The Hustle, and I try to come up with sort of a novel boost every week. And I was just trying to think of something goofy.
Yeah.
And, maybe Carlson was in my head banging all those field goals for the Raiders. So I said, all right, what are the chances here? You got a lot of teams, 12 teams. Our traders priced it. I asked for an explanation. I'm still trying to get a number on what percentage of NFL teams make a field goal, 1+ field goal during a game. I still don't have that.
These teams love kicking. These teams love kicking field goals. You don't have Brandon Staley in the playoffs. You have a better chance to win this.
That's a great point. So there's no Staley. I think the only problem is Mason Crosby is in the playoffs. Late in the season. Now, this is actually kind of interesting. All right, of the 8 teams in the NFL who made the most field goals this season, 7 are in the playoffs. So at least you've got, it's sort of trending that way. And I think at 7 to 1, hey, let's root for kickers.
That's a fun one. It's so interesting because the entire landscape of kicking field goals has changed, where most teams for the most part, still do it, but there are some, like obviously Brandon Staley, that just don't want to kick anymore.
Yes.
Because the analytics say that it's just not a good play, especially when you're inside the 30-yard line. They go for it all the time.
And I think some of that is crazy. Like, I totally get it when you're at the 3, because if you don't get it, the other team has to go 97 yards. But it's constant going for it when you're at the 21 and the 19.
Yeah, that's kind of the no man's land now. I'm seeing a lot of teams go for it, at the 10, 15-yard line.
It's crazy because even if you get the first down there's no guarantee you're going to get a touchdown.
100%. And I've seen that happen a lot this year too.
Crazy.
So
they end up kicking anyways.
Check that out, PointsBet Sportsbook. That's Teddy Greenstein's boost of the week.
Tremendous stuff,
I'm going to bet it. I'm definitely going to bet it. Teddy, I know we're making you late for a meeting, so we'll let you go. Thank you so much for taking time. I hope this is more fun than your meeting is going to be. So
it definitely is.
Guys, well worth
You're the best, Teddy.
Party slip. Enjoy the
Appreciate you, man.
Best of luck this week with all your bets. Teddy Greenstein, senior editor for PointsBet Sportsbook. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Have a great rest of the show. See you guys.
Bye. Making him late for a meeting. You hate to see it, Jared. God.
No, we don't hate to see it. I bet he has a good excuse. He's on TV, right?
Yeah, totally. Okay. God, I love Teddy. He's the best to have on. So let's end on another high note. 3-star play of the day. Jared, hit me with it. Who do we got on the Pickswise.com website?
How about Chadwick Wetzel? And not just Chadwick, but the entire Pickswise NHL staff. We do have some really talented NHL handicappers on our staff. Bruins laying the puck line tonight, -1.5 at home versus the Habs. And again, the Pickswise NHL best bets brigade, 4 straight. Not bad. If you're betting best bets with our NHL Pickswise crew, you're doing pretty well. Go check out Chadwick's cap tonight of the Bruins on the puck line at home against the Habs.
Your best bet of the day. We're going back to that dumpster dive. Let's take it out to Cal for the Dixie State Cal Baptist over.
Yeah, I like, again, first of all, there's not a lot going on tonight. There's some good college hoops tonight, and there's a few good NBA games. The NHL card's relatively slim, and I know you're going to get to a hockey pick in just a minute. We just gave you one from Chadwick Wetzel. So I will stick to my dumpster dive roots, and I will give you this Dixie State Cal Baptist over 150.5. No defense, lots of three-point shooting, not a whole lot of intensity on the defensive side of the floor tonight. That's what we expect from this game. And I think another thing you can expect, more college basketball picks for me. This is something that we're in that season now. And I hope some of you watched that Auburn game last night. They looked like the real deal. You're going to start to see these good teams in January, now that conference play is heating up, separate themselves, and it is going to start to paint a picture for us what we can expect in March, which, by the way, is 6 weeks away. And then things get really hot and heavy in the college basketball world. So we're going to go with a dumpster dive game tonight, but keep an eye on my Twitter feed, obviously the shows as well. A lot of college hoops coming your way. Tis the season.
Tis the
for
season, baby, for CBB. March Madness right around the corner. Still 2 months away, but right around the corner. So we can't wait for it. Okay, I'm taking you out to the kind of West Coast, Arizona.
The desert.
At least in Pacific time.
The Valley.
I don't know if that's considered the West Coast or not.
Actually, I've been doing hits at a Phoenix radio station recently. It's actually mountain time.
Well, no, but they don't do.
I know they do this weird thing where they don't take some. It's weird.
Pacific time.
Desert time.
Mountain time. Yeah.
Desert time.
So they don't do daylight savings.
It's only 2 hours behind right now. Okay,
so they are definitely in mountain time. But you know what? The next one is spring forward.
Yes. Well, then they'll get back to normal.
Yeah. back to what we know.
Back to Pacific time, which is where they should be.
Now they're not on the West Coast, but once we spring forward, then they'll be back on the West Coast. So let's head to the mountain range, Gila River Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. They're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Coyotes are. The Leafs playing in the second game of a back-to-back. They played last night in Vegas. They won that game in overtime. They were up for a majority of the game. Vegas came back, won to overtime. They won in a shootout in that game, the Leafs did. But they're clearly the better team, right? Strong offensively, second in the league in goals allowed per game. Now, Arizona is just an absolute dumpster fire. They've been really bad all season. They're the new Red Wings of last year. Arizona, second worst in goals per game, last in the league in goals allowed. It's going to be a tough night for the Yotes. Austin Matthews from Arizona, as Jared had told me a little bit earlier, he wants to beat up on his hometown state. Mrazek between the pipes. The Leafs are going to have enough firepower to win this game, even on the second half of a back-to-back. heavy legs won't be a problem in this one. And I think they're going to do it by 2 goals or more because I'm betting the Leafs puck line in this one at -118. So,
I told you. I'm in. We talked about it this morning. We didn't do a whole morning radar for hockey, but I will say this. There is a little heat. I saw someone in the chat talk about Dallas. Little heat on the Stars tonight. I saw that money line go up from 170 to 195, almost now -200. So maybe if you don't want to lay the puck line tonight, you're a little nervous about the puck line, a Stars Leafs money line parlay might kind of
with the Toronto parlay.
Yeah. Instead of the money, instead of the puck line, play the money line. I think the puck line's a great bet. I'm on it too. The Yotes have been just dreadful, but there's other ways to play things, and I like to give the options because there is some heat. Dallas definitely is taking some heat. The Kraken have been it's been a bad year for the Kraken. The best bet I made so far in hockey was their season point total under, which seems to be well on its way to cashing.
Here's the thing with the Kraken is everyone saw the last expansion team in Vegas and what they were able to do. So people
100%.
expect that to happen. That is a rarity.
Super rare.
Team to be that good and gel that quickly with a bunch of third line
Agreed.
players that you're getting from every other team.
Agreed.
And with
Totally
Vegas,
agreed.
it worked out. With Vegas, it worked out.
And the books almost got murdered.
Amazing guy between the pipes. Yeah, the Kraken have Philip Grubauer. But again, it takes a while for a team to gel. You're taking 1-2 players from each team. It's tough to get a bunch of guys coming from different teams to gel all at once.
Really
in Vegas, that was an anomaly. People expected it to happen with the Kraken. That's not what normally happens. They'll figure it out, though. They'll get there. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, just not this year.
Yeah.
That brings me back to like that. There was some talk I remember when Vegas made their run because of the town that they play in, and the amount of money that the casinos would have lost if Vegas would have won that Stanley Cup.
Wow.
Like from the stories that I read and some of the anecdotes that I've, taken from some of my friends that live out there, people would have been fired. Like that's how much, like it was a catastrophic loss if Vegas would have won that because they were such long shots preseason. Yeah. And to get a team like that into the final, there were a lot of Caps fans in the casinos in Vegas during that Stanley Cup, and they ended up obviously winning. But that's a great story. If you're ever out in Vegas, you talk to any of the bookmakers, ask them about that night Stanley Cup run. They'll tell you they were scared for their jobs.
They'll start sweating, and then they'll tell you because it brings back PTSD probably for them at the time. That's crazy. Well, that's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Best of luck with all of your bets tonight. That's Jared Smith. I'm Lauren Jabara. Yesterday, I go Alex Glaze, Lauren Jabara. I'm like, wait, I did that wrong. So let me do it right again today. Jared
You
Smith.
called yourself Alex Glaze.
Alex Glaze. Yeah. I'm like.
It's a compliment for Alex to call him Lauren. I mean, it's step up in class there, right?
Seriously, I'm like, Alex, I'm just trying to help you out.
Yeah, there you go.
Best of luck tonight, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.